This year's podcast at Acme Comedy Club. This year's podcast is here. We're at the podcast hub. We're going to talk about things that we talk about in other ways, but here it's talked about in a podcast way.
That's you just summed it up. Let's try and do that now. My name's Justin Severson. My guest is David Crowe, and this is NoLaughTrack, Acme's official podcast. Not like there's another one, but you know, it's tied to Acme, so I need to brag. Goddammit.
That's true. That's important. That it's Acme's official podcast.
Yeah, it's not my podcast. It's Acme's. So I'm just working for them. So welcome to Minneapolis. You've been here a few days now.
Flew in on the 30th.
On the 30th?
Yeah, because a couple of reasons. But one is, when you're doing 2 New Year's Eve shows, a flight away from your house in an area that gets snow, you don't really want to risk that day of arrival.
Yeah, I suppose that's good planning ahead.
Hey, Lewis. Yeah, ice, can't make it.
Yeah, no chance. See you Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's really good planning ahead. Have you ever been caught in that? And, you know, where you were like, fuck, I can't make it?
I have never been caught in that, never not made it, mainly because I always do this little day before thing.
Nice.
If it looks like it could be.
If it's Minnesota, basically. Yeah, of course. So you did 2 New Year's Eve shows here. How was that? You know,
the audiences at this particular club they're always great. And New Year's Eve, there was a sort of a theater crowdness about them. There was a sophistication that surprised me. Yeah. It didn't shock me, but I thought, oh, right. Downtown Minneapolis.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve. There was sequins in the people, you know, they see an event and they say, you know what, let's make this a special occasion. And they, you know, most people, there was like one guy in the front with a sweatshirt with gravy on it and a ball cap, but whatever. You know.
He didn't know what year we were returning to.
Right.
Damn right.
Right.
I talked to another comedian that's been working with you this week, Brian Miller.
Brian Miller, the monkey drag child.
Mm-hmm. So I was talking to him briefly earlier tonight, and he gave me a little story about how the countdown went for New Year's.
I missed the countdown.
Yeah, what happened?
I just having fun, and the clock in my head was way off. I was originally going to come out and start the show by assigning somebody the duty of keeping track of time. Mm-hmm. Usually, there's some sort of anal retentive engineer type who, you know, it's really important for him.
Oh yeah,
to actually
you need the exact moment,
right at the moment.
Yeah.
So he's got a nuclear chronometer, and you know, he's got it all timed out. And so you have that guy keep track for you. Then throughout your set, you can go back to that guy.
Yeah.
But I just completely forgot about that when I walked out on stage and went and just started the show. Got off on some tangent. There was a guy with a Minnesota Wild ball cap over here, and a sweater, drinking a beer, and he just looked way more comfortable than the rest of us. So I started talking to him, and completely forgot about the time. So then, about what in my head felt like 35 minutes into the show, or 40 minutes in, I thought, I should check in for time, and I checked in, and it was 12 o'clock and 30 seconds.
Oh, no kidding!
Right. But we forced the countdown anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it.
Nice.
Most people, they had champagne out. And that's how great the staff is here. I didn't even see them put out 300 glasses of champagne.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that was part of it.
Yeah.
Did you get a glass of champagne?
The other comics brought out a whole bottle. And so we did the countdown, and everybody smooched. That would be my only recommendation in the future is if you're gonna have 3 comics on the bill for New Year's Eve countdown, make sure one of them's female, because there was no one for the comics to smooch.
Oh no!
Or go to Deja Vu and have someone show up.
That's just down the road.
Yeah, I know. Really, it is.
I'm telling you something you already know.
So anyway, we did the countdown a little bit late,
and then you go back in and tell some more jokes, and then everybody hits the road.
Yeah,
is it an easy transition to go back into the act?
I wouldn't normally do that because I feel like people can celebrate and entertain themselves, and they're happy doing that. But they forced me to. They wanted more.
So you went on.
A little. I felt like I had to because I messed up the countdown. Yeah. But it was fun. And then some guy came up after the show, and he goes, "I'm chatting with a table of people who've just been celebrating New Year's."
Mm-hmm.
And this guy comes up and says, "Excuse me, I hope you don't take offense, but the set you did, I could tell the 15 minutes that you did after the countdown was really a lot better than the 40 you did before. Was that was that old stuff you were doing afterwards? Because it just felt like it was a lot funnier.
Well, Happy New Year.
Well, I mean, what he's saying is, hey, nice set there at the end. Way to really bring the show to a crescendo. But he kind of said it in a way that didn't allow you to accept it that way. It was like
that. Yep, you could have just stopped right there.
I know.
You could have just stopped right there.
Well, what I said is, I felt like the audience was way better after New Year's.
Yeah, you turned it on.
Before, you guys are kind of uptight. It was like, well, we're kind of new at being an audience, but then once you got settled into it, you guys were fantastic.
That's awesome. You turned it on perfectly. You probably didn't even know.
Yeah.
Do you normally work on New Year's Eve? Or do you ever try to avoid those? You try to always?
I mean, if you don't, you always feel like a little bit of a failure. Booking, like you're a booking failure. But
oh, okay.
I mean, this is a trill treat. I was born in St. Paul, so
me too.
No way.
Yeah.
What hospital?
It doesn't. It was Midway Hospital. It's not there anymore.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't exist.
Mine was St. Joe's.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's.
Yeah.
And it's not there either. They turned it into condos.
That's right.
Yeah. Should be. I think so. I'm told. But I was going to go there tomorrow or the next day. I've never been back to the place of my birth.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
But you live in Seattle now.
Well, my dad flew for Northwest Airlines.
Oh, so
he was transferred out to Seattle.
But where did you grow up then?
Well, he was Seattle.
Okay.
He was a Canadian Air Force pilot, and back in the mid '60s, this whole jet transportation age was just starting, and they needed pilots.
Mm-hmm. So
Canada didn't so much because it's a small country, but the U.S. really needed pilots. So my dad came down on we don't have enough pilots work visa, and got a job with Northwest and green card, the whole bit.
So that's how you're not Canadian.
Right, because I was actually conceived in Winnipeg.
Okay.
If you want to. Gimli, to be perfectly honest.
It's a population of Gimli.
That's where the conception happened. And then they moved down to here to go through some flight training, and then I was born here, and then boom, 2 months old out to Seattle.
Oh, so that was it.
Yeah.
That's because, people from Minnesota and the Midwest in general, but especially, we have such a complex. Like when someone mentions, I was born here, like I got super excited when you said,
oh, really? It doesn't really count?
Tell us more. Come on.
But now,
tell me all your favorite parks and cities and restaurants.
Oh,
no,
right.
I'm kidding.
Right. Well, that
is an interesting connection coming back here, though.
I just did a 2.5 month tour of Canada. And we started, and it was put on by a financial services company. They're kind of doing these shows for all their clients, but they have a lot of clients. So one show in Winnipeg is 2,000 people on a Tuesday night at the Winnipeg Centennial Hall, right?
Yeah.
So it was a tour from middle Ontario, North Bay, all the way out to Victoria, BC. Mm-hmm. 38 cities. All in the biggest venue in town every night.
Holy crap.
And for somebody who has both my parents are Canadian.
Okay, yeah.
So for somebody who has Canadian roots, it was really remarkable for me to be able to tour an entire country like that in style and doing these big theater shows. Because I was visiting the towns that lived in my family lore.
Yeah.
For years, but I heard about stories about when the parents went to Winnipeg, or when the parents lived in Moose Jaw, or when the parents lived in
what a name,
BC, or Fort Fraser, BC. And
yeah.
So it was really a treat, and I think family connecting with your family history is really important.
Yeah,
if you don't bother to go see those places that your family's from, no matter how small or distant they might be,
yeah, that's a good.
You're missing out.
Yeah,
because it's who you are, like it or not, and I am far more comfortable in Canada, and Minnesota is very Canadian-esque, okay, than I am in many places in the United States.
Yeah. You've never lived in Canada yourself?
No. But there's regions of the United States that are way more Canadian than they are, say, Texan.
Sure. Well, yeah.
Or than they are Floridian. Or they are South Carolinian. There's just a real, these are my people. I get that feeling. Mm-hmm. And I certainly get that here in Minnesota.
Well, I will tell you that we're going to turn this podcast into how much we love Canadians real quickly because I have a part-time job where I sell beer at I'm wearing the Wild hat, just like you said. The guy on the second row is wearing a Wild hat. I work at the Minnesota Wild games when they play, selling beers.
Okay,
beer man. And when the Canadian fans come into town, they're the most loyal, happiest, friendliest.
Right.
Yeah, and they always come down when there's a big concert in St. Paul. People come from Canada. Like it ends up being like the nearest tour date for for the national headliners, or they come here to see their team, their hockey team, because they can't get tickets back home because the games are sold out.
Right.
So,
are you talking the Jets?
Oh yeah,
Winnipeg Jets.
Yes.
Right.
Huge Jets following. Montreal, huge following here.
No way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They red the place out. Like where half of the stadium ends up wearing red from the Canadians fans.
Wow.
Here, it's pretty neat though. Even watching the opposition like that.
Yeah, and when you travel across Canada, you realize, this is America's pantry because there's so few people and so much farmland up there.
Yeah,
it just goes on and on.
Yeah, that's
and on.
A good point.
As Canadians aren't eating all this food, that's for sure.
No. So let's. If I look straight ahead here, I'm looking at a camera. If I look to my right, there's a camera. There's camera. Explain to the people that aren't here and to me what's going on. Why are we being filmed, David Crowe?
That was scotch, not a camera. Well, okay.
These aren't my cameras.
The cameras started. I've always been a little bit of a gearhead. It felt like I can't watch mechanical things happening like video and audio recording and not have to know how it's done. Right.
Okay.
My whole life. So when I was doing this 38-date tour of Canada in these big theaters, I thought, wow, I got to record this. Mm-hmm. So I went and bought a really nice new Canon high def, not a consumer Best Buy model, but something that you only get at the pro camera shops.
Yeah.
And I got one that was smallish and traveled well. And then I had one, so I thought, I got to shoot these shows at these theaters. And of course, as soon as I started doing that, one camera is not enough to cover a theater.
No.
So I'm in Red Deer, Alberta, and I go to their pro camera shop, and they had two more that were not as good as the one I had, but very similar, just not all the features. Mm-hmm. So it was about half price. Mm-hmm. So I picked up two more. So there I am with my own 3-camera shoot in a bag, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you see all these cameras. Well, the date to work at Acme has been here on the books for me for about 9 months. Mm-hmm. But I'm not married, but I have a daughter and I have a woman in my life, and we're very close, and we raised the daughter together. We're sort of a little bit kind of on the rocks right now, you might say. But I only live a block away from her, and we have dinner together every night. It's sort of a situation I would never wish on anybody, but it's better than a lot of on the rock situations.
Sure.
So
I'm familiar.
I don't know how much detail I can get into because I haven't figured it all out. But
it sounds like it.
Because this happened very recently. Anyway, she was born with a heart defect, and since she got pregnant, the heart defect got a lot worse because a woman's heart, when it has to pump for two, everybody always says I'm eating for two. Mm-hmm. Well, your heart heart never gets enough credit because it's got to pump all that blood through you and then this whole other being that doesn't. It's got a run of the river heart that doesn't really pump itself. It just the mother's heart is doing all the work.
That's the battery, the real battery.
Yeah. That's actually adding the pressure. Yeah, and the baby heart's just practicing.
Yeah.
So because of all that extra work, her heart valve problem got a lot worse. Okay. So, and it was affecting how she felt all the time. It was affecting her ability to work. It was affecting a lot. And then when your heart is under that much stress, it actually starts the muscle structure changes, and it begins to get bigger and get thicker, and that's irreparable. So there's a point where you either have to repair the problem or you're going to wreck your heart.
Yeah.
So she decided that she would finally go get it fixed, and she chose the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, just an hour south of here.
That's right.
And the date she chose, this is all just coincidence, is January 2nd, today.
Yeah.
So when I was planning to record a CD here at the club, because it's a fantastic club to record in.
Many people have. Yeah. Many will. Yeah.
It's a little bit of a plug-and-play audience situation. You go, where can I get the best audience I can imagine for a comedy CD? Mm-hmm. How do I get them to show up? Oh, well, they're going to be at Acme every week, so I'll just go there.
A great decision.
So as I began to prepare for my little CD project here, and then she was going to be having heart surgery
in the same state,
right down the street, and
wow.
then someone who at the club here, who I've known for a long time, actually had the same exact surgery in September.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I thought, wow, how is that? The coincidence is crazy. And then my CD project started to shrink in relevance.
Yeah.
When I looked at this week,
mm-hmm.
and I thought, I don't know if this will yield anything, or if it's even the right thing to do. But this little voice in my head said I should probably hire somebody to just run a documentary camera for the week while I'm here going through all of these things. And at the end of the week, maybe we'll have something, maybe we won't. We'll see in the editing room. But I felt like I would regret it if I went through this week and didn't have somebody recording it just in case. Because you can't get it back.
No.
So it's been a crazy week. You know, you start with New Year's Eve at Acme, and from a comedy perspective, it's one of your favorite shows of the year.
Sure, celebration.
And then the next day you're down at Mayo, and you're sending somebody that you love into major heart surgery. And,
sure.
And they're just two sort of opposite experiences. So anyway, these. I was going to try to do it myself, because that's what was my first instinct, is I can just do it myself. But it became very evident just 3 days ago that I can't be thinking about recording or
there's a lot going on, David.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot going on.
So I was I said, I'm just going to screw it. I'm not going to do it. But what that really meant is, no, just because I don't do it doesn't mean it can't be done. I need to get somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
So
these guys are from Craigslist or something?
Well, they actually shot the Acme 20th anniversary, and so they were recommended.
Perfect.
For this, and the club's very comfortable with them. And,
yeah.
And I've seen their work, so
yeah.
So that's where we are, and boy, I got to tell you, it's emotional thin ice. That's the thing. You never know when you're going to step and hear.
I got to ask you. I mean, I really appreciate you're doing this right now, and I hope it's maybe it helps a little bit. I don't know, but
it does a little bit. It's really hard to come up and do a comedy show after spending all day at the Mayo.
I can't imagine.
But it's also, thank God, I'm not just going back to my room at the DoubleTree in Rochester. I have this up here, and there's other comics who don't know anything about this, and they're just hey, what do you think about this joke? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's focus on your bacon joke.
Throw a fart in there.
Right. Yeah, that's what you need. Bacon jokes always need a good fart noise at the end. That's.
Well, wow.
So it's
I mean, what are you gonna? I want to ask. What do you like when we're done here tonight? What are you gonna do to decompress?
Well, this is kind of the decompress.
I mean, I guess no, that's true, but
this is. It's not. I mean, the last thing I felt like doing right now is a podcast.
I'm only imagine. Yeah,
but that's that's when some interesting things happen. Sometimes
sure.
I've one of my core beliefs is, or one of my maxims that I try to live by is you don't learn anything from staying home.
Yeah.
If there's a weird situation or something, and I'm just kind of referring to comedy, but it's also true in life.
Sure.
If there's some sort of nightmarish looking show that's about to happen and you just want to walk, you can do that, but you know what watching a rerun of Matlock is going to give you. And that's what you'll do it, right? That's what you do at the hotel. So just go out and see what happens. It may be awful, but at least it's new.
Sure.
And something. At least you'll probably learn something. So that's
Are you a
what I'm
night owl?
thinking
What do you-
about this is do it. And
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. Something really amazing. I mean, I'm so thankful you're not just one of these crazy morning zoo, like, I don't know, just everyone has more energy.
Oh, no. I work on a morning radio show. I don't know if you know that. But,
Yeah, they said KQ, right?
that's right.
Right.
Yeah. And, but yeah, no, I don't want this to be that. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate
Well, so
that.
I'm thankful you're actually, it feels like a real conversation.
That's it. Well, I feel like it is, so that's good. Thank you. What do you do on a normal night when you're? Are you a night owl? You stay up. You get off stage here tonight like 10:30. Do you go back and scour the internet, watch movies?
I'm so
write?
saddled with what I'm supposed to do. It's the way I was raised. I would love just to go out and drink and go to Deja Vu and just get up and do nothing
Yeah.
all day. I don't see anything wrong with that, really, but I don't do that.
You don't do that. You're productive.
I go home. I try to do my homework. I try to get a good sleep. I try to wake up and be a good career man.
Yeah.
You know what? And I don't know that it's working for me. I could see a lot of guys like Nick Swartzen who just like fucked off their whole life. And he's wildly famous and hilarious.
Yeah. That bastard.
I know. So I don't know, but it's what I.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
I love history. I just picked up a book called 1941. I'm sorry, 1491.
That's completely different.
Yes, I know. It's about Columbus bombing Japan.
And zombies.
have you heard about
I can only
it?
assume. No. No.
It is a book about what the Americas were like before Columbus arrived.
Okay.
So that's 1492 would be the year
Yeah,
Columbus
sure.
arrived, and so 1491. And there is so much misinformation disseminated by our public education system because all of our history books have to be groomed and purified by boards of education, who of course don't want. They want the mythology of America to live, not the reality, the history. So and because there are no Native Americans on school boards anywhere, because they have their own reservation system, they don't get a say in what's in our textbooks in public schools. And so their story is never told. And it doesn't make any sense because the real story is way more interesting and way more riveting to people, to kids, than the whole Pocahontas and, Thanksgiving turkey thing. So that's what this book's about. I just love stuff like that. So I would tend to go home and crack that and read about
the only way
Incas.
the only way that story will ever become mainstream is if Disney makes a movie about it. The real one.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, they did make Pocahontas, and they didn't really tell the real
That's
story.
what I mean, though. If they do redo that with the real.
Can you imagine
real
a
story.
Disney cartoon opening with 80% of Pocahontas' tribe dying of smallpox? And the reason she hooks up with this Jamestown fella is because he's the only male left in the world that she knows.
Kids?
Yeah.
Let's go see the matinee.
And he hooks up with her because he finds 12-year-olds hot.
See? Yeah. See? I think that's coming to the holiday season, 2013.
2013. Well,
14, maybe.
probably 3013.
Like 3013, yeah. That's probably.
Maybe what we should do is take Disney movies and just do new voiceovers to them, because we can, with cartoons, you can pretty much add a new script to them. Without,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like it.
Maybe next time you come back to town, you have a little video series.
Yeah.
So how did you? I know these are stories that people tell 1,000 times, so we don't have to get every little detail. But where did you get your start on stage? Was it in Seattle?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting. Let me puff my pipe. Here we are. I of course got a Steve Martin album when I was a kid, Wild and Crazy Guy.
Yeah.
Memorized it, and I was always fascinated by comics and so on, Tonight Show comics and stuff. But really, the reason that I went to an open mic, and I think a lot of comics, they have this moment too. It's less glamorous because we all say about the famous comic that influenced us, but there's usually somebody we met who's not famous, who was just someone in our life that really, they were the impetus in getting us to go to our first open mic.
Okay.
Right? For me, it was, I was working as a shore excursion manager on a cruise ship, and the ventriloquist on the cruise ship, Don Bryan, who had a little puppet named Mr. Noseworthy.
Yeah.
I met him, and he was, ventriloquist / comedian. And I had never met a comedian before. I'd seen him on TV, but I'd never actually had a personal connection with one. And it was that made me go, oh, I want to do what he does. Seeing people on TV never made me do that. It was Hollywood land. It was fantasy world. It was television land.
Yeah, it's completely.
It didn't seem
disconnected. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was after meeting Don Bryan. So really, he's he doesn't know this, but he's the reason that I got off the ship and boom, went to open mic.
Is he still working alive around?
I suppose he is. And when I went to open mic, one of the comedians that was there also trying to become funny was Mitch Hedberg. So he lived in Seattle for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember...
Born in St. Paul.
Yeah.
Come on.
Very funny people are. And one of the things that I will never forget, because he wasn't getting laughs back then.
Yeah.
But I didn't know who he was, but he's this guy standing on stage. He's got long blonde hair with this Jeff Spicoli sort of Tijuana hoodie.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's just standing there up on stage, and he just goes, ha, ha, for about a minute. Doesn't say anything. Ha. Then he said, they told me I needed to try to be more captivating. Ha. And he stood there for 4 more minutes.
Yeah.
Just going, And then no one's laughing, right? They're going, what the hell? Is this guy high?
Yeah.
And then after 5 minutes each at the open mic, he goes, I guess I got to work on that. And they walked off.
Oh, my God.
Wow. So I remember thinking, because I wasn't going up that night, I was just going to watch.
Okay.
I remember thinking, well, if that guy can get up there and do that, surely I can get up there and do something.
If I have one joke, that's one more than him.
I know.
Yeah.
So that was it. It was at the Comedy Underground in Seattle, which was our kind of home club.
Yeah, yeah.
But back before the internet, social media, advertising was expensive. So comedy clubs were the place where you had open mics. But nowadays there's little coffee house open mics everywhere.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I mean, in town here, there's every night you could go to one.
Yeah.
And the best ones here, of course. But
oh, yeah. This is the one that the open micers are trying to graduate to.
Yes. Monday nights here. Yeah, I told a story last week or 2 weeks ago, but I had a buddy that just did it for the first time. So I got to,
Oh, really?
I don't tell jokes. I don't go up on stage and tell jokes, but I got to experience it, from someone that I know firsthand just a few weeks ago. That was neat. It was really remarkable.
It was neat.
It was neat. It was neat. I liked it. And I don't think he's got back up on stage yet, so I got to push him a little more. Any more? So what? You had this what did you say? 38 City.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2013. Have anything that awesome planned?
Well, things went okay on it, I guess. So they booked me for the Ontario and Maritimes tour in the fall next year.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I could see the other half of Canada, the populated half.
Yeah. What did you say?
I had a funny thing happen while I was in Vancouver on this tour because my family came up to stay with me. Mm-hmm. And do you have kids? You have 2?
I have 2 daughters.
How old are they?
4 and 6.
4. Okay. So, yeah, you're well into the fun stuff. You get to go do something out and about with them now.
Oh, hell yeah.
You're not just toddling around the house.
No. Oh, yeah.
Do you ever try to do things where...
They drag me outside.
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
Did you grow up here in Minneapolis?
Yeah, St. Paul, yep.
So do you ever try to go do things with them that you did when you were a kid?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah, probably. Oh, yeah. My girlfriend's in the back of the room here, and she's probably rolling her eyes right now because
Right.
I think I pushed too much of my stuff.
Okay.
And things that I liked in place. Yeah, so definitely.
I had one of those things sort of backfire on me recently. We're in Vancouver, and when I was a kid in Vancouver, my parents took me to the Vancouver Aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
This would be in the late 70s. And I just remember that as being the best aquarium I'd ever seen in my life, right? They had dolphins that would leap through hoops of fire. They had killer whales that did tricks and would flick their tail at the audience and splash everybody.
Sounds great.
They had seals doing seal races. These big blubberous animals just like cruising around. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So I really wanted my daughter to see the greatest marine mammal show ever.
And?
So we go to the Vancouver Aquarium. Well, Vancouver, BC has become the fount of ultra-liberalism on the planet, right? It's more liberal than even... I mean, it's all there. Everything's green. Greenpeace is from Vancouver, right?
That maybe says it all then.
Right. So... I'm all excited to go to this seal blubber racing show and the dolphins jump through the hoops of fire. The Vancouver Aquarium has changed.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Yeah, gone is the middle-aged guy with a big mustache who just, prods the animals with a cattle prod to get them to do tricks in his bucket of fish. It was all
What
about...
do they have?
They just had dolphins swimming around in a pool, and then they lectured us on habitat loss for dolphins.
No.
And all this, they didn't even have killer whales. They let them go.
They freed them.
So yeah, it was like
you can watch the video of them letting the whales go.
Right, whales don't do well in captivity. And back, I remember the guys like, we know how hard it is to go find whales out in the sound, so we trapped some for you so you could see them right from your car.
Yeah.
And they actually had an exhibit on exotic frogs, and so little kid likes frogs. We're looking at all the frogs, and there's one exhibit, and I'm trying to find the frog. It's the red striped frog, and I'm looking and looking, and I can't find it in the little box. And then I look at the sign, and it says, "The red striped frog has been extinct for over 5 years."
Uh-oh.
Due to the carelessness of man and habitat loss caused by industry and greed. I know.
You gotta show up and leave with a lesson. Yeah, that sounds like a blast.
I pay $20 to get into the human suck exhibit is what it turned out to be.
Well, I hope you haven't made the big excuse of trying to take her to the circus.
I haven't.
Yeah.
No. Is that not good anymore either?
If you can get in through all the protesters outside.
Oh.
I don't remember that when I was a kid.
I know.
In St. Paul, the Civic Center, my dad would take me to see the circus once a year. At least that's what I remember. Maybe it was only once that it was that good. But I haven't taken my kids yet, but not because I have any problem. I don't have any problem with the circus. I don't know.
Right.
I'm crazy.
Right.
Look at how controversial I am. But people protest outside circuses, so it's just like it's sort of like what you were saying here. Like you could show up with your, I walked by about a year ago, and I wasn't going. I was just walking past where they were having the circus in town here, and there's people holding up the signs with dead animals on them, and the beating of the elephants, or the alleged beating of these elephants, and people are walking up with their children. I'm going, if I was here with my two daughters, and you're here showing them, dying elephants, you're the asshole.
So there's pictures
I'm not the
of
asshole.
dying
Yes.
elephants? Oh, yeah.
They're standing right at the entrance, and the kid's got the hat with the spinner on the head, and I want to get some peanuts. Like, really?
Yeah, I just loved how...
Guess the memory to that's kind of ruined.
In the 70s, they were so unapologetic about it. Just, look, animals are here for our entertainment.
That's right.
Enjoy.
Well, there's a zoo in town here in St. Paul that some of the cages, the outdoor cages, are still there from when I was a kid, like in the 70s and 80s. And I still take my kids to the Como Zoo, and it's fantastic. But those tiny cages now that were filled with animals, they finally realized they can't use those little ones anymore. Now they're just like, look what we used to have.
Really?
Yeah, it's just now they turned that building into like a office, like zoo offices or something. So. But I walk by there like, yeah, but when Daddy was a kid, there was a tiger in that 6x4 cage, like,
right.
And now they're out roaming free, and That's just quite different.
Well, I've been a little bit fortunate because Inga is from South Africa. So
Yeah.
every year we go down to South Africa to visit her parents, Tundi's grandparents. And my daughter's name is Tundi, which is a South African name. Excuse me, I'm about to hiccup.
There you go.
And what I found about safaris in Africa is, though it's impressive to see lions, you're better off taking a safari in a place where there are no lions. Because when there are no lions,
there aren't anything else.
The animals aren't hiding.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're out.
Yeah.
They're just, let's eat grass and enjoy the sun. Where there are lions, all the animals are scared and in the shade.
You're only going to maybe see a lion, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or something they could fly above it.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't see like a dozen kudu with 18 zebra just all sort of milling about. Meh. So just be warned. Go see the lions at a zoo and then go on the safari to see all the other grass eaters.
I saw on the internet somewhere where there's only truth on the internet.
Right.
It says you opened for Bill Clinton at some point. What is that?
Oh, that was back in a fundraiser when he was running for president.
Yeah.
Okay, the true story is you think the White House picked me to open for Bill or to perform for the president. It's actually not how it actually happened. He was coming to Seattle doing a big fundraiser, so he hired a PR firm in Seattle, or the Democratic Party, to put on the event. And then the president, after he goes and talks to Bill Gates and Paul Allen and smooches for money and stuff, right? He just comes in and talks to the rest of us.
Yeah.
And so my friend was working for this PR firm at the time, and he's doing this round table as they're coming up with ideas for this event. It was called the Saxophone Event, and a lot of Seattle's popular musicians at the time were going to be playing in a band, and Bill was going to play sax.
Oh, cool.
So my friend goes, just complete nepotism, just looking for an opportunity to insert me into the program if he could. He goes, you know what would be a really good way to start off this event, just to make sure everybody's in the right mood, in the right space, having a good time, like 5 or 10 minutes of a comedian. They're like, you know how these roundtables are. That's a great idea. We should do that. And he goes, I know the perfect guy. Well, see if he can do it. And
how much will we have to give him?
Right. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
Do it for free.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that. What did I
But it actually, the outside story of that was I was doing the San Francisco comedy competition at the time. And San Francisco, around that time, was the scene in the country. San Francisco and Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, a little resistant to accepting just any random outsider.
Okay.
It was a hard scene to break into.
Yeah.
Ask Mark Maron. He was right in the heart of it, right?
Sure. I've heard those stories.
So they were there, there was a big hack police going on and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I went down and did one night, my first night in the prelims down there. I went on last after 20 comedians.
Wow.
And ended up pulling out a decent set and gotten third.
Nice.
So everybody's like, who is this guy who went last and got third from Seattle? We don't know this guy. And then I was gone the second night because there's 6 nights of competition.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going, where's that guy who got third last night? Where did he go? And Ann Fox, producer, she says, oh, he had a gig apparently for President Clinton. He didn't want to cancel, so he's off doing that. They're like, yeah, right, whatever. So I come back on the third night.
Yeah.
Where were you last night? I had this chance to do a gig for President Clinton. Like, what? And then that night, I got first.
Look at that.
So
it's sort of
right.
That is awesome.
Now, I did not place in the top 5 for the rest of the contest.
Yeah.
But my reputation had been sealed. I was welcomed into the fold of great San Francisco comedians.
Come on in.
I know. I couldn't have worked out better. So
let me meet. Yeah, your new friends are introducing you as their old friend.
Right.
Hey, you guys know David, right?
Right.
Crowe, fucking Crowe.
Right. So it was really fortunate, and I was honored to get to not have to fight my way into the clubhouse, as it were.
However it can work. That's good. Did you? Is it true that you? Like I said, I saw the act tonight, and part of it is you talk about online dating.
Yeah, that's
Is that
how
true?
That's how I met Inga. Yeah, and that's basically how I part of my reason for wanting to record a CD this week is because I have this lump of material that's just, and I think it has a lot to do with having kids. Kids change so fast that you want to talk about what's happening in your life now, but you're with a 3-year-old. So the material you were doing a year ago with the 2-year-old or the 18-month-old just isn't true anymore, right? So I felt like, okay, I just want to get this recorded and done with so I don't feel like I'm lying anymore, right? Because what's true when you have kids, what's true now will be a lie in a year.
That's true, because they change so fast. Yeah, you're right.
And no matter how funny it is, it just always feels weird to not be, to kind of be bending the truth a little bit.
Yeah.
So I want to get this. That was the whole idea behind this week. Was I want to record this stuff, and then it'll be done. It'll be. I don't have to feel like I don't have to do it anymore. It'll be in the vault.
Yeah. Do you?
If someone wants to hear it, they can listen to it. I don't have to say it.
How is it going to be available, do you think?
I don't know.
Who knows?
See at the end of the week if there is a thing to be available. I guess the normal ways: website, iTunes, mail,
cassette
after
tape.
shows,
Sure,
cassette tape.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I'm thinking of of trying a whole new way of marketing this project. I'm gonna, and this has never been done before. I'm going to pay people to listen to it.
Okay.
So I'm pretty
I'm
sure.
ready.
I think I could get up to 1 million listeners pretty quick. Never been done.
Who's backing that one up?
I don't know.
I'm ready to listen.
I'm just thinking, because it used to be you sold this stuff, then you sold it for cheap. Now people are giving it away online just to get it out there.
You're right. Yeah,
but
what's
no
next?
one's tried paying people to hear it.
That's true. That's true.
I will have the best unselling record.
Well, you could tape a dollar bill to them and give them away, but that doesn't mean people listen to it.
That's true.
It's got to be something in there.
Could be. Anyway, well, it'll be out there. It'll be available, I guess.
Yeah. What else is planned for the new year here?
This documentary thing. I have a new greeting card line out.
Oh, I know what
released.
Yeah.
Is that podcast worthy?
Sure, absolutely. I want to know. But I also want to know about. I was looking at your website.
Yeah.
I think the play on words is fantastic. The
Crowe mag.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Okay, the Crowe mag actually was a little ahead of its time. In the late '90s, I started to do an online, essentially a podcast, but there weren't any pods around. It was something that you would stream.
Yeah.
And it was called Crowe Mag, and I would write 20 jokes a day, and at the end of the week, I would pick the best dozen or of the 100 or so jokes I had written and just talk it into a microphone and post it on my website as a streaming audio, so you could do a little 5-minute joke hit at the end of the week of topical stuff. And so it was like a Letterman monologue or Leno monologue of my own.
Yeah.
And it was a ton of work, and no one was listening to streaming audio. So I did it for about a year and then quit. But the name of that was Crowe Mag.
Okay.
Like Crow/magazine, but mag, but oafish cave dweller. See, it's all happening there.
I like it.
Right.
You got to use it for something again, I think. Can I ask you what I think for me, one of my favorite parts of your act tonight was the German voice. You could have said anything. The
German
in that.
voice, yeah. I don't know where that comes from, but Stefan is very much an effeminate intellectual from German. He's actually East German. It's very He's Inge's brother-in-law, is what he is, and he we're the same age, so he kind of got out of college in '89 as the Berlin Wall started to fall.
Okay,
or fell.
Yeah,
and the guy is one of these. You can't keep a smart man or an ambitious man down, if you give them the opportunity.
Sure.
And as soon as that wall was down, he's like, I'm getting as far away from communism and corruption and this kind of oppressive, top-down authoritarianism as I can get.
Yeah.
So he went to South Africa and went to law school, because that's about as far as away as you can get when you're from Germany. You know, I'm going to go south until I see water, and then I'm...
Yeah, I'd say.
And so he got a law degree, and then he got a corporate contracting negotiation thing degree, and whatever. And now he lives in West Germany now, Hamburg. But he's just so smart, and that's how he talks. He's so, but he's so hilarious to me. He was an Olympic class sailor.
Really?
For East Germany. Yep. He saw sailing as a way to get out. and he didn't know the wall was going to fall, but he thought if he mastered sailing. But typical communist way of doing things is he sailed and sailed and sailed, and he said they have a way of taking the fun out of everything. They would have him out there in the winter going around his little triangular course in the snow because they had to put hours in. It's hours that matter, not knowledge or fun.
Sure.
And so he's doing that, and then in order to get the Olympics, you have to sort of win a certain hierarchy of races, and he lost one of them, and so they just said, okay, you are done, no more sailing for you. And he's done, no sailing.
That's it.
What? Can't I try for next year? No. You are done. And so he hasn't sailed since. Here he has been a world-class sailor, but because he didn't win this one little race, done.
What if they did that with your comedy? You don't
they
have
probably
a good,
should.
They don't have that good night.
They probably should. There should be. That would be interesting. That much pressure. If you don't win tonight, you can't use any of those jokes again ever.
Yeah. Tuesday.
You know what would happen?
Second chance Wednesday, and then after that,
my delivery would be a lot more like Brian Miller's.
Well, what is?
Yeah, that sort of energetic desperation of.
Yeah, he's
so energetic.
Yes, he is.
He doesn't look like he will be off stage, but then he gets.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it. Well, David, I don't know. Thank you for doing this tonight.
Sure,
it was. We were going to do this afternoon, and then you had a lot more heavy, more important shit to deal with. So I'm glad we got to work around, and this worked out well because I got to come to your show. I probably wasn't going to be able to.
Thanks for being flexible with the schedule.
So this worked out well.
Doesn't sound like it fits in with your sleep schedule very well to be up this late.
This week it does, because the more I'm off, the A job is off this week for me. So
okay, good.
I get to sleep in tomorrow.
Good.
So we're all good. Tell people where they can find you online, and are you very active on Facebook and Twitter and all that?
Not too much. I'm not an all the time kind of chucking peas at your skull to get your attention. I tend to take more time to do a larger project, and then boom, I'll take a half an hour of your life, and it will be something that's sort of completed.
Yeah.
And then I'll leave you alone for a while. But davidcrowe.com is my website, and that's a good hub. There was something I was going to say about that. I'm writing a book.
That's big.
Too. So there you go. Yeah, it's called Jump. Working title is Jump.
Yeah.
And so I've never written a book before, but something to do in the spare time. And so that's what I mean is, at some point I'll have a published book and then an audio book for you if you want it. But I'm not going to tweet you every 2 minutes. It just doesn't work for me.
It's not your thing.
Can't do it.
Sure.
I'm too much of a little bit of a recluse and an introspective or an introvert to do that.
Well, say a little bit more about this book. What are you going to write about?
Well,
is it started?
Yeah, it's about halfway done.
And
there's a Native American saying I read a long time ago that said, "As you go the way of life, you will come to a great chasm. Jump; it's not as wide as you think." And I read that a long time ago, and it's always stuck in my head. And I realized recently that I wanted to be a comic when I was in the 3rd grade listening to Wild and Crazy Guy.
Right.
But I didn't go to my first open mic until I was about 24. And the whole time I wanted to do it. But I had all these wild tangents. I'd shoot off this way and shoot off this way. And I had near misses with stand-up and it was always kind of in my life, but I never went and just did it at an open mic. but those tangents are some of the greatest experiences of my life.
Sure.
I went and lived in the Amazon with this tribe for a while. I was a commercial fisherman up in the Bristol Bay right off the Bering Sea for a while. I mean, I did all of these. I traveled to 40 countries around the world. I did all these things.
Yeah.
But really, I always wanted to do stand-up. So this book is about that journey of sort of avoiding making the leap, but how wonderful those diversions are. Because those are actually, I don't have a lot of great stories as a stand-up comedian. A lot of my great stories have occurred outside stand-up, and even before I even tried it.
Right. So that's where they're going to end up.
Yeah. And so that's all I'll say. And I won't say I'm a great writer, but I'm doing okay. I'm holding my own. I'm surprised. Jeffrey Ross wrote a book called "We Only Roast
Those
the Ones
We
We
Love."
Love."
Yeah.
And I got to tour with him in Israel for 2 weeks a few years ago, and he's a delightful person.
Mm-hmm.
Did not strike me as somebody who would be a very good writer.
Mm-hmm.
But I was hired to do a roast for somebody. I thought, well, I'll read Ross's book maybe I'll learn something. Fantastic, very well written book.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it to anybody. And that was the book that made me think, you know what? That's what my book is going to be, because it's if Ross can do it, he didn't personally encourage me, but it motivated me to give it a shot myself.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah, so I need to write him and tell him that, because it's a wonderful book, and it's not flowery prose or anything. But he's just really direct and honest with his stories, and he's got some great stories.
Yeah, I've met him. He's a good guy. Well, you can tweet him. He's busy on Twitter.
Is he?
You can tweet him your appreciation. David, thank you. Hope you have a great rest of the week here in Minneapolis.
Thank you very much.
I really mean that. All right.
Cheers.